Gus, and of course, most especially Victoria. Thank you for yet another wonderful speech. I want to first start by acknowledging that I love that you kind of turned the speech on its head. The purpose of the speech, there were two purposes. One, to share some aspect of your experience in establishing a social media presence and to apply your knowledge of social media to enhance or establish a new social media presence. So the speech is kind of leads you towards establishing a presence or increasing your presence. And I like that you addressed a situation that we all commonly feel where we're in social media, but it's not really without purpose. And that brings me to, I think, one of the things that you did very well was your intro very well structured, but I love your introduction. You start with an attention getter. I have a confession. I quit those Facebook 1 year ago. Right, that gets all of our attention. But then you said, "Well, not quite." And in that introduction, then you share with us your reference, your the Power of Habit, that book, so we know that you're getting your information from a reliable place. And you also acknowledge the feeling that a lot of us have with the great cartoon you shared about, wait, isn't that a Facebook group? So your introduction really got our attention and my attention as your audience, and it then supported your structure and the rest of your speech. One thing that a little bit better to challenge yourself, and I fully acknowledge that I may have missed this, but I think you could have strengthened your conclusion just a little bit more, perhaps with a call to action. I admit that I might have been so absorbed in my notes that I might have missed the punch of your conclusion. But I think that that would be one thing that would take this speech from great to fabulous. Finally, I want to talk about in the structure of your speech. You used not only slides to help facilitate your speech, and I love that you transitioned to using those slides and then not and back and forth. You did that very seamlessly. So that was very well. In your speech, you talk about developing a social media strategy. You start with, why am I using social media? What are the alternatives? And then you direct us to considering how we're going to use social media and considering a two-way street. One of the things that I think you did very well in the speech was you demonstrated that strategy both with your Instagram and LinkedIn accounts. You showed us what you were selecting and why. Then you shared with us that curate how you've curated your feed, and so you demonstrated what your feed in both of those platforms look like. And I have to say, it's very inspirational, and I very much appreciate your recommendations about considering social media as a two-way street. So thank you so much for your speech, starting with a phenomenal attention getter. um, could be punching up that conclusion a little bit, but then the demonstration and your use of technology was flawless in showing us how we can develop a social media. Madam General Evaluator.